Hi, everyone. This is Max Citri, and this is the Quality Department Group Conversation. As always, we post the slides and also the summary. I hope some of you have already caught it. If not, please do, and then we'll jump straight into answering questions. I believe we already have the first one from Sid. So, Sid, you want to vocalize Get open source?
Yeah, please. So love the work on Get, the new way to kind of install GitLab. Not Kubernetes, but using Terraform and Ansible, probably what most people are going to use. That is from, I think, 7 different methods that were in play, all but in various parts of GitLab. I didn't see an overview of which ones we deprecated and which ones we didn't, but I think that's what we're doing. I saw it was a premium feature, and I think we should think about that a little bit more. It was hard enough to try to even have the ambition to replace the existing methods, but then if we recommend something else for open source, that's going to be even tougher. And also in our stewardship promises, it says that the open source code base will have all the features that are essential to running a large forge, which if I came and said, hey, I'm going to run a large forge, do I need, what do you recommend? I think I'd recommend Get. So I think it will make it harder to consolidate, and it is arguably against our stewardship promises.
Thank you for that, Sid. I think we could evaluate the pricing tier. I think this was also done in conjunction with the product. Tanya, do you have any insights along this conversation and how the pricing happened, and maybe we should take the feedback back to the product?
Yeah, definitely. And I wish that Josh Lambert was here too to speak up. Hi, Sid, thank you for your feedback. I think that we aligned it with Premium because it was tailored towards scaled deployments, and a lot of the technologies that we have and capabilities we have to support these sort of very large, highly available deployments are in our Premium feature set. So we try to align with that. We are definitely open to reevaluating over time. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and it's a good point. Like Geo is premium, and we're not considering changing that. And arguably, like if you have something large, you also want it to be highly available and have that failover. So it's tricky. It's not obvious. But what gives me pause is that we've had like 7 different methods, and it's been very hard to kind of get everyone on the same page. And I do want some. I do want us to make sure that we can get all on the same page, and that means all as the entire community. But yeah, you make a good point too. So let's discuss further. I'll put it on the product scaling meeting. Thank you.
Sid, maybe this is an opportunity to have a more granular control where we release Get as a open source, but there are some features that are premium, and do it that way versus wholesale, everything being a premium.
I think that's a great suggestion.
Thank you. We'll take it back to the product team. Well, we wait for the second question, and we want to highlight that I'm not in the US anymore, but I did bring my whiteboard, and that quality is still everybody's responsibility. And kudos to Christopher, that he is the instigator of that message, and I think that's where I'll take it wherever I go.
You need a virtual background, Mac, with that message.
I will work on that. Thank you for the feedback.
And feel free to upload it on our press page. We have a list of backgrounds, so you could have it for more people if you make it appealing. And I saw some great design skills in Get. So if you get a cool background that incorporates that message, that might be you might be not the only person saying it.
Thank you for that. I see Sun Jung is on the call. She contributed to the logo in Get, so kudos there as well. Thank you, Sun Jung.
Thank you.
Mac, I'll type my question next. I was looking at that, how do you all say it, Murar dashboard. It's
no, more pirate, because you Murar.
Okay, Murar.
Yes.
It was fascinating to me. So do you notice, is it a lot of the same engineers from our customers doing multiple MRs a month, or do some of these customers have a lot of people in their organizations, some of the ones that are higher contributors?
That's an awesome question. From preliminary data, I think it's a rotation still. It's not, we still want to demonstrate consistent contribution from the same person. I think we're only at the cusp of that. Right now, we want to have consistency at the org. We haven't looked at whether it's the same person in that org or not, so I'm not confident to say that it's the same. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not, and that's a big opportunity there for us to drive Murar up.
Nice. And then just as a non-developer, I'm always curious about this. So with contributions, community or not, do you all kind of build relationships just while you're reviewing, and do you kind of get to know each other just via GitLab MRs and issues?
I think if so, go ahead. I think I cut you off a little bit there before you finish.
Oh yeah, just like, first, I know some of our active, community members or our active contributors at customers. It almost seems like even I recognize their personality just when I'm looking at issues.
Yeah, I think for the very frequent contributors like George, we recognize them, but I think there's an opportunity for some social aspect of it as well with the community relations team, maybe like a contributor coffee chat session that we could do, but I don't think we have built that relationship at that level yet for every contributors. Hope answers the question on the current state. But that's a great suggestion.
Thank you. And then it looks like Christopher has the next question.
Hey, Mac, great slide deck as always, overwhelmed with information. Slide 15, the merge pipeline duration. Looks like the goal is 25 roughly, and we're sitting at 58, and we actually went up a little bit. I was just curious if we felt like what we've got to focus on there is the right set of things, or from a prioritization perspective, maybe it's lower on the list from that perspective.
Great question. This was also in the challenge I put in the summary. Not only the merge request pipeline, but the average duration overall. We've hit a plateau this quarter where when we started to remove and optimize on the current approach, we started introducing instability in master. So we put it back because it's doing more harm than good. I think we need to switch up the approach a little bit and maybe removing not the jobs, but the content in the jobs, like the number of tests that have been passing for the past 2 years without failing. Those are the ones that we want to focus on. Another idea that came up is we want to end of life package in QA and just switch to pure more faster provisioning based on Kubernetes, like using the review apps for everything to make it faster. We're hitting a point where VMs it's not being fast anymore, sadly in that regard. And yeah, that's where we will be focusing on. And I think duration is no longer a key. We'll focus on the time to failure instead, and that seems to be bringing up good discussions as well with Marion and the delivery team.
Sounds good. If you need help from development, more than happy to try to coordinate and help prioritize work.
Awesome. Thank you for the support. That segues nicely to point 5, Sid, faster time to fail.
Yeah, super important that if you submit code and it's a failure, you get it as fast as possible, so you can start to fix your code and have a faster OODA loop, have a faster iteration cycle. I see that we're starting to measure that. I was thinking beyond that, what would be the first way to make it to do that? And I think there's lots of fancy things like have some ML look at which tests tend to fail depending on what files, etc. But there's also maybe, if I think about the absolute simplest one, it would be pick the last RSpec test that failed and just run that in a separate job. You don't have to reorder anything else, but just run that test, because guess what? If a test failed the last time, that's the most likely test to fail again. And maybe by simplifying it, we can get a first iteration out faster.
That's a great suggestion, Sid. And I believe you kindly suggested a way to do this, where you look at the last job artifact and see what failed, and then just run that test first. I think that's a great venue to explore. I also want to call out that we are also load balancing or balancing the challenge of flaky tests. So I believe we could look at both in the same picture. And I think the team is really keen on eliminating flaky tests if it's not adding value. We should just remove it. I'll pass on this feedback to the team that's measuring this, the EP team, and then we'll go from there. And I think there's a good venue here to pair up with you in the iteration office hours as well, as we get more traffic and traction here.
Thanks.
While we wait for question 6, I do want to do a brief shout out in slide 6 on career growth of team members. So as of end of last quarter, all teams in quality engineering have been contributing to some form to product development, either bug fixes, small features, UX bug fixes, and adding API endpoints. So really happy on the trajectory of the career growth of the team. And yeah, just brief shout out to the team.
We could just add Discord on there instead of mentors. And I wonder if we can also add a third for Wikifactory as well, because we currently have an address.
Well, that's a good amount of awkward silence already. So I believe that we have a lot of information in the slides. Oh, Rupert, thank you. We have.
Right.
You want to vocalize that, Rupert?
Yeah, sure, I can do. So we've got 2 new software engineering test positions that are opening up soon. It's always been a bit of a challenge to recruit for those roles. So just in case anyone is viewing this or knows any referrals, I was wondering if you could talk to the challenges or the unique elements of the role of a software engineering test at GitLab.
Wow. Anyone in quality wants to take this up?
I see quality as the iteration enablers. Like, one of our core values is iteration. You can't iterate if every time you have a high risk. The only way to kind of do things small is if there's very little risk every time. And I see quality as the people who enable that. And I think the smartest people should be in testing. Like, when I wrote code as a developer, I wrote it pretty simple, and then the testing was harder. So the testing is the toughest code. So you're a really smart engineer, you should be in test, not writing code. The code should be so simple, it's obvious that it works. If you write code on the edge of your capability, you won't be able to test it properly.
That's awesome, Sid. I think we may quote you on that in our enlistment scheme with candidates.
Sure, feel free to get this out of the video and put it below the job description.
Thank you. I do have something to add to it. I see quality and efficiency as one family. I think enabling everyone to test faster and making faster feedback loop does help with efficiency. So it has a productivity and efficiency go hand in hand with quality there. So I'm not sure if any EMs would like to chime in.
This might be true for every team in GitLab, and maybe I'm just biased, but I think we're kind of the enablers of every one of our values. We enable collaboration, we bring up bug metrics, we bring triage procedures, things like that. I really can't think of a value. Transparency, making sure that all of this is very findable. I can't think of a value that we don't help enable for the rest of the org. But that's probably true for a lot of, I'm sure any of you will take your own role and say the same thing.
Thank you, Tanya. We do have one question in number 8. So I'm not sure who this is, so I will just vocalize. Quality engineer for import is to be hired. What is the current? Says, Harris, would you like to take this up?
Yes, sorry, I forgot to put my name there. Yeah, so talking about open positions, I know there's been an open position for a long time for the import quality engineer, and I was wondering what is the status of that? Are there challenges in getting that position filled, and do we have a time frame potentially?
Thank you for asking that. We did have some challenges on the. We were really focused on the skill set to really match this position, because they have to know all the ecosystem really well, the import mechanisms. I am happy to say we have some strong candidates right now at the latter stages of the pipeline, and fingers crossed that we have good news to share soon on filling that. Rama, you want to vocalize anything on top of what I said?
No, thanks, Mike. I think you covered it. Yeah. So we had been having a very tough time to find the right candidate and the right mindset, and also who would actually be a good fit for the import team. And yes, as you said, like we have few strong candidates in the pipeline. So yeah, hoping that we'll close this out soon.
Thank you both.
I look forward to when we have full data integrity testing with the data we import, and that's on top of my my mind as well. I believe we don't have any more questions, and we did spend a good quarter of the awkward silence already. So I'm keen to end early and let everyone continue on with their GitLab life and collaboration and work and our values. I'll see you all the next GC. Thank you very much.